Hi everyone, it's Natalie, and today I just want to do a simple, easy get ready with me using some indie brands and some sort of new stuff. I have been sick. I will try to cut out my coughing from this video. We have to start with lip balm. My lips are so dry. This one's from Hera. I have gone through these. These are my favorite, just like chapstick style lip balms. Lip balms right now are so everywhere. I feel like every single brand is coming out with like a squeezy tube lip balm right now. But I won't forget, these work just as fine. And they're only like $4. Meanwhile, like squeezy tube ones, I mean, I like these ones from Laneige, but they're like $19 now. They used to be $15. My skin is obviously having a moment. Literally the day before I got sick, my skin was actually perfect. I had cleared up all of the acne I was struggling with from my last video on doing the spot concealing technique that I'm doing right now. I had cleared all of it up. It was entirely clear and came back so bad while I was sick. It was just, I'm like, you're not even seeing the worst of it. It was maybe like the worst acne I've ever had in my whole life. I forgot I put this on first usually. I was so sick that I stopped putting on makeup, which is how you know it's real. I didn't wear makeup for 10 days. I came down on Valentine's Day. And then, yeah, I didn't wear makeup for 10 days. And I think that's the longest I've not worn makeup in like 5 years. I just got sad from being sick, and like every time I'm sick, I end up doing a ton of online shopping, which I don't recommend, but I got some antique jewelry. I don't really know what came over me. To be fair, it was something that I'd been looking for a really long time. And to be not fair, it's a ring that's not in my size. In fact, it's like 2 sizes too big. But I have another antique ring that is like, I think around the same size, and I'm able to wear it with like a stopper thing on it. So hopefully I can do that and it'll be fine. This over here is so crusty. There's literally gonna be no, oh my god, the crust happening on my skin right now is crazy. There's just like this, my point in that like acne coverage video, I was like, you can only cover so much. Like the texture of the skin, there's no way to cover that. Like you're just crusty. There's just no way to cover that. And you can hydrate. You can try to hydrate. I maybe should have done a little bit more in that dimension, but I have a new blog post up. My blog is on Substack, and I'll link it down below. I did a blog post all about my experiences with Glossier over the years, because I kind of realized I've been using Glossier for such a long time. I feel like, I don't know, it's 2025 now, and I think that just kind of like happened and nobody paid attention to it happening, and now it's here. A palette I really want right now is the Bella Beauté Bar Morally Gray palette. It's these like muted pinks, and I really love those tones. I feel like I don't have many of them because muted pinks tend to be like overly saturated, but they went more in the gray direction, which is what I'm always looking for. So that is definitely high on my list. I've been kind of doing looks that are like similar vibes, just sort of like dark and grungy. Today it's actually a really nice day. But I've been trying to do like a little bit grungy looks. This is one of my favorite K-beauty palettes that is more desaturated colors, more like grungy vibes. It's the Ramen from the Handbook collection and O2, and I'll have this link down below with my Yes Style code. But I have really been using this a lot. This shade here is dark enough for me that it's actually like a transition shade, I think these palettes would be more perfect if the lightest shade was like a pastel or something, but they're that K-beauty formula that actually has a lot of good pigment but just doesn't build on itself. You can build other things on top of it, which is typically what I do, but if you just like kind of one or two colors and you don't like to go too dark and intense, I think these are really great because they have enough pigment to where they're visible, you know, they're not like chalky and non-existent like most K-beauty eyeshadows, but they just don't build. So it really depends what you're looking for. I know if you're trying to do like a really intense eyeshadow look, this is just not the eyeshadow for that. You're just probably not gonna find that in K-beauty. There's actually so many like indie-ish CBD brands that I am really interested in right now. That's just the lightest shade in this palette, and I really like it because it just gives a light sort of contour effect without being too dark. Speaking of CBD brands, I'm gonna use my Kaleidos Club Nebula palette just for this shade in here, Rock Hopper, which is like a gray purple. Don't know the last time Kaleidos released makeup. I feel like they kind of started making hair dye, which must be working for them. But they haven't released makeup in a while. Their last collection did not land so good because it was more like K-beauty aesthetic, which is kind of like the flower nose aesthetic. It's that lighter, softer colors. And I think Kaleidos had become known for doing stuff like this. So it wasn't very exciting, and I think was not the right audience. Although I do still have those blushes on my wish list. I know a lot of people poo-pooed those blushes because of how pale they are, but I'm like, those look perfect for me. I'm just using my Ripper 03. It's like a chunky pencil brush just to smudge this along my lash line and wing it out a little. I feel like that's kind of the shape I was going for, and then I'm just gonna take what's left on the brush and put that on the bottom outer third of my eye. Just a little grungy touch, but I don't like too much darkness there. I think I want to go a little bit like a couple different colors with the shimmer for the lid. I'm needing something a little darker in the outer corner actually, which is not like what I usually do, but I'm just feeling it. I think I might use this shade from clionadh. It is called Redox, and it's this kind of smoky purple with pink and different colored sort of reflex in it, and it shifts green. So I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna look into the natural light for this. I'm just gonna put that on the outer corners. This one's a little bit of like a chunkier one from them, I think. I forgot what this formula is called, but it just has like more multicolored pieces in it. I'm pressing it in following the shape that I created with the wing, sort of like the shadow wing kind of thing. This is the kind of shade from clionadh where it's a little bit of a drier, thinner formula, so you could get like an extremely opaque look with it if you used a glitter glue, but if you don't, you get something more like this. It's kind of like a wash of the color. It's not my favorite one from them just because the base is like so dark. I feel like it doesn't look so dark right here. Next, I'm gonna take from Terra Moons. I've been obsessed with this new shade, and by obsessed I literally mean that I've used this like since I got it. I've used it almost every day. The shade Ice Rings from Terra Moons. Look at that. It's part of their duochromes, but it has like a multichrome thing going on. I can't believe that it's only like $7 or something, because look at that. It's so shiny, so pigmented, so reflective, and it has like a really icy mint and like lavender shift, and it's just completely cool toned. I'm just applying that on the inner portion and overlapping it on top in the middle, kind of like the first 2/3. I think those go really well together. It's very like fantasy coded. This is kind of the vibe. Ooh. For my inner corner, I'm going to use a highlighter. I've actually been using this shade from Terra called Mimas a lot. It's like a true icy silver with like a different colored silver reflex. It's really interesting, but I just want something more straightforward right now. So I'm going to use the Fenty Darmam and How Many Carats. I've seen there's been a lot of dupes to this from CBD brands and like the juicy one, so I'm interested to like try them to see if they're actually dupe in like formula and finish, because what I think is very unique about this is that it's not just like a hard sparkly powder. It is like this more putty texture, so it sticks to the skin better and doesn't just like fluff away. I'm gonna bring that up in this crevice right here. On me, this is like so deep, and so it just adds a little bit of extra brightness to put some shimmer there. I'm going to put my mascara on now. If you wanted to, this is like you'd put eyeliner on first. I'm just not an eyeliner girly. These kind of shades make brown eyes pop so intensely. I'll show in the light after. There's a little lower lash mascara, because I think with a smoky look it just really brings it together. These kind of colors just really pull out the depth in brown eyes and like the glow, so I really like these shades for that, and they're so shiny. I have a few blush options. Some of these are a little bit new to me, but I've been trying them out a lot. I received in PR these REM Beauty products, which is so cool for me, but I can't say I love them. Actually, I take that back. I really like this brush. I have been using this brush a ton. It's so weird that the brush is something that has attached itself to me, but something about the way these bristles are aligned in here, you can kind of see they have a little bit of like an elliptical shape, and they like come to this point, and it's very dense, but it's not too dense, like I can squish it. It picks up cream and putty products so well. I really like this one, Alicia blush. This is the Butter Waffle Dough blush in Rose Chocolate Mousse, and I like have struggled with finding a brush that really picks it up nicely, and this one does. So I'm just gonna swatch the colors so you can see, but it's one of those like really silicone-y putty blushes, so it's very smoothing and blurring, but it just doesn't pick up easily because it's so silicone-y and slippy, and this brush picks it up. So there's that shade. The blushes I got from REM Beauty are this stick blush. It's for blush and lips, and it's in the shade Opening Night. First of all, this is described as a mauve, and in the pictures made out to be very cool toned, and it's really not. It's actually quite a warm, almost just like burnt rose color. I wouldn't classify this as mauve at all, and it's just so pigmented. I understand that it's also for lips, but that's kind of where I'm like, things that are both lips and cheeks just don't really work. Plus, this is weighted down here. There's a weight here, which I like, but this is not weighted at all. It's like so flimsy, and so you can't really get the lid on and off without dinging this product, because it doesn't go down. It goes up, it doesn't go down. So you always are going to ding the product, like especially at that point, like taking it off. I always get muck on the inside of the cap, so not loving that. I do generally like the finish and the overall effect of the formula. It is really nice on the skin, a little bit of that kind of like skin finish look, but generally, I mean, this color just goes very warm on me, and I don't love the color. Also, the powder blush in Rose on Mars, it's funny, the product photography is pretty accurate for this shade, but it's nearly the same sort of color as the stick blush, which is supposed to be mauve. So that's funny. It's a little bit pinker, I'd say. This powder blush is pretty nice. It has a really soft finish and it doesn't look too matte. I think it's described as satin matte, and I'd say I agree with that. It's not like matte, but it's not skin-like. It's less dewy than the stick, but the stick's still not dewy, if that makes sense. But once again, I don't feel like it's anything like really special. Like the formula of the RMS blushes is something I feel is special because it's shimmery and blurring. It is kind of doing multiple things at once. This one's in the shade Crystal Slipper. And you can see it's just like, has more of like a soft finish effect while being shimmery. Like that's something that I think is unique. Or even like the Kosas has like a little more life to it. It's like just a slight bit more shimmery and also like thinner. So it lays a little bit more closer to the skin, which is nice. This one might be most comparable, not in color, but in kind of like the finish that's trying to give, the Pat McGrath blushes. This one's in Flirtatious, and it's one of my all-time favorite blushes. It has that more matte but somehow skin-like finish. Like it has a radiance, but it's still matte, and I don't really know how that's possible. It's just a really beautiful formula. I think because it is like technically a baked product, or it's like pressed, it's like a pressed gelée or something like that. I think I sort of prefer the Patrick Ta powder ones, even though these are, in my opinion, a little bit too pigmented. Oh, that's the wrong one. Are just that same kind of finish, but it's thinner. It's not as thick. So ultimately, I like the finish of these, but they're a little bit thick. So it's not that it's bad or anything, and if there's a color you really like, I'm sure you'd be totally happy with it because the finish is nice. It's just not like doing something amazing. And maybe blush doesn't have to do anything amazing. Maybe it can just be basic and that's fine. But I was kind of surprised to find out how expensive some of these products were. I had thought that they were like About Face pricing, which is another celebrity brand, so like $16, and then I think they're like $24. So I don't know, but I'm gonna use the powder in Rose on Mars. This is the kind of blush that's really pigmented on like initial application, so which is kind of just most blushes these days, but that means you really want to not go overboard. It's also possible this color doesn't do much for me. It like seemed like it would because it's just kind of a generally rosy color, but maybe it doesn't. I'm going to give the cream a go. I like to just kind of like dab the brush onto this stick and then tap it off. Like literally tap all of it off. And this does have a nice finish. I just can't help but feel that like you could just literally do this with any lipstick. And it would probably look the same with literally any lipstick. It's really just like a cream finish lipstick. And they don't want you to know this, but you can in fact apply any lipstick as blush. Any. So I just feel like it instantly got carried away. Like I instantly have too much blush on now. I actually like the finish of it. It's very skin-like and really sinks in, but the pigment is just crazy and there's like no way to make it less pigmented. I have this Patrick Ta brow gel that I forgot I had and never tried, so I want to just try it. It smells like hairspray. I think it applied okay. It's just clear, which is kind of what I like, but we'll see. I like my brows kind of in this shape where they're like a little bit pushed up but not completely, so we'll see if it dries and keeps them there or not. This highlighter I got a couple months ago and I've been really enjoying it. It's the Natasha Denona High Gen Skincare Infused Glow Beautifier in the shade 01 Light. It is a kind of like squalane putty texture. It reminds me a lot of the texture of the Melt cream blushes. What are those called? This one, the cream blush light. It reminds me a lot of this texture, and if you guys remember from my older videos, I really liked this, and you can see just how much I liked it. But it was scented with a vanilla fragrance, and something happened to the vanilla fragrance, and now it smells so bad. Like, it smells like vanilla. I don't think the product, I think it's like to do with the fragrance they added, and I hate that there's that fragrance in this. It never smelled good. It always smelled weird. This for some reason is also fragranced, and no one has said anything about it. I have watched lots of people rave about this highlighter, and nobody said that it's fragranced like cake and flowers. Cake and flowers. It's actually so crazy that no one's ever mentioned this, because it's a weirdly specific scent. Like, I've never smelled a makeup product with this scent. It's like vanilla powder flowers. I don't hate it, but I also don't like it. I wish it was not scented, and no one has ever said that it was scented, so here I am telling you that it's scented. Also, the color, let me show you. First of all, it is so smooth and shiny. Like, ooh, look at that. It's like metallic with how smooth and shiny it is, but it's not like glittery metallic. There's no glitters or like shimmers in it. It's just this like shimmery, like even shimmeriness. Like, there's no like little shimmers. It's just this like even shimmery sort of thing. And this shade in One Light is just very peach. It's like you wouldn't think that it is. Even looking at it here, it looks quite champagne or just kind of neutral, but it's actually really peach. And I like a peach highlighter. One of my favorite ones is this one from Ramen, but it's just like I wasn't expecting it. It looks, there's like a little bit of a dark cast if I turn my hand like this, but it doesn't really show up on the face. The peach color kind of shows up on the face a little bit, but mostly when applied with a brush, you do just get this like glossy effect. Like, look how glossy it is. So that's what I really like about this. I will say, compared to the Melt cream blush lights, it's not as slippy. It has just a little bit more powder to it, so I think it'll hold up better generally. I want to use like a denser brush with something like this, because it is that like powder, cream to powder kind of finish. It's so shiny, and I really like highlighter. Like, I'm a person who loves a shiny highlighter, and this definitely gives that. So I have like another pimple right here. Like, I just can't catch a break. My eyebrows are like crustified into place. They feel a little sticky to the touch, and they have a little bit of a wet look to them. Like, I feel like that's just hair gel in a tube, no? Like, I don't think that was, like, I don't think that's eyebrow gel. I think it's just hair gel, and it's being marketed as eyebrow gel. Lips, honestly, I just want to put on more lip balm because my lips are so dry. I kind of feel bad saying that. I just don't want any color on my lips right now because it's just gonna get into all the weird dry cracks and stuff. So yeah, there is all the makeup on. Let's kind of look in the natural light. Okay, so I feel like the blush has kind of sunk in a little to the skin. It doesn't look as overwhelming as it did when I first applied it, but putting the highlighter over top it could have kind of blended it in a little bit like that, just kind of melded it in. Highlighter is so glowy. I love that. And it doesn't have a dark cast. It does in the swatch, but I don't feel like it does on the skin when applied with a brush, at least. Eyebrows, I can feel them, and I don't like that. And they look wet. Like, they look wettened, like gelled, and I don't like that. These shimmers are shimmering so good. I feel like I kind of went overboard with the Ice Ring shade and covered up most of Redox, but I feel like it's okay because I didn't really like how dark and smoky it had gotten for a second. Oh, you couldn't really see it on this side. The multichrome of Redox in the outer corner. The blushes I think are looking fine. I think my main issue with these blushes is that I don't love the colors. They were the most nude colors out of all the colors. The rest of the blushes were like vibrant decisions. And I don't know. It's like fine. I feel like that's not what like you should come away with from an experience. And it could just be that because of my acne right now, it's not playing so well with it, but I've been trying them for the past like 3-4 weeks. I think they make my pores look a little bit big. They're just like, they have a presence. The powder is a little bit thick on the skin, so it sinks into the pores. It's not like so like, ah, nice blurring. And then the cream is literally just a lipstick. So whatever, but I do really like that brush. I kind of almost feel like I want to apply something else, but I know I'm just gonna get so carried away if I do that, so I'm not going to. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll have everything linked down below, including my blog post on my experiences with Glossier and my reviews on everything I've tried from the brand. So thank you guys so much for watching and hanging around. I'll see you next time.